before we begin, ladies and gentlemen, kindly subscribe, like, share, and comment on our videos. Thank you. Back to our studios, and in our discuss of today, we'll be talking about the 15 things every man should do before turning the age of 30 years. We know the age of 30 years shows some level of maturity in that particular individual. And being a man comes with so many responsibilities. As you get older, you have to get married, you have to plan, and you have to adjust or configure your lifestyle in such a way that you don't regret when you get old. So being a man is not all about impregnating a lady, it's all about taking responsibility. So in our today's discuss, we'll be talking about the 15 things every man should do before turning the age of 30 years. And the first thing on our list as a man you are supposed to do before turning the age of 30 years is, before getting to the age of 30 years, you have to be financially independent. When we mean financially independent, it means in your 20s, you have to plan your life in such a way that you develop a business for yourself, or you develop a career for yourself that can generate you income monthly. So you are not dependent either on your parents or on other siblings or on your other relative in order to sustain a livelihood. So the first thing every man should do before turning the age of 30 is that you have to be financially independent. You have to have a business, or you have to have a career of your own, something that generates your income personally, because that shows some sense of responsibility and some sense of maturity. That leads us to the next, which is very, very important when it comes to our personal lives. And as a man, you need to have some discretion. Before you turn the age of 30 years, you need to have some discretion. Not everything about your life or progress you make in your daily life, you have to put it on social media, like Facebook, like WhatsApp, like email. Not everything about yourself you need to publish it on social media platforms or go about telling everybody. You need to have some discretion, because some discretion will help you or prevent you from getting into unnecessary battles, or will prevent you from being attacked, either arising from envy or jealousy, or some friends that just play around you, which are not your true friends. So before turning the age of 30, you need to have some discretion. You need to exercise some level of privacy and know there's some things about your life you don't put them on social media platforms. I think that is very, very important, and that will be very helpful to someone. And that leads us to the next. The next is very, very important, and that comes with socialization. Socialization. As a man, before turning the age of 30 years, you must learn to live with other people. You must know that society is all about building relationship and associating with other people. So before turning the age of 30, you must train yourself, equip yourself, empower yourself in such a manner that you can compose yourself to live peaceful with other individuals, irrespective of their ethnic group, of their racial group, of their color, of their status. You need to know that you have to bond perfectly with society. You need to live in harmony. You must learn to associate, live together, share ideas, and live peacefully with other people. So it's very important. You must learn to live with other people. It's very important. And that leads us to the next, which is very, very important, and that affects us so much. Before turning the age of 30, you must train yourself to always be yourself. You must always be yourself. You must build a true personality. You must always try as much as possible to be yourself, despite the negative forces around you or around your environment. You must train yourself to be yourself. Don't fake. Don't fake identity to be accepted. It's better to be real and be rejected than to try to fake that you are something in which you are not to be accepted. So the thing you're supposed to learn, which is very important, is no matter the situation, always be yourself. That gives you, earns you a true identity, that earns you a true respect anywhere you go. And I think that is very, very important. We all know some men like eating, and one of the things you should do before turning the age of 30 years is that you should learn how to cook one impressive meal. As a man, is very important. Not all the time you have to be in the restaurant, and in situations where you're married, not all the time your wife will be around. So sometimes you have to take responsibilities of the kids for the meantime while your wife works or do other things. So as a man, before turning the age of 30, it's very, very important for you to know how to cook one impressive meal. It might be anything that you like, anything of your choice, but train yourself in such a way that before you get to the age of 30 years, you must know how to prepare a meal and prepare it very well, either for your kids or to entertain guests or to get yourself something when you're hungry. It's very important. And that takes us to the next, which is very, very important. As a man, before you turn the age of 30 years, try to have a place of your own that is called your home, or try to own a place that is called your home. It's very important. That earns you a lot of respect at the level of society, at the level of your friends, and that makes you responsible. So before turning 30, struggle to have a place you call your home. Not your father's house, not your uncle's house, but a place you paid for, a place you can call your home, a place where you live that earns you so much respect and that makes you responsible. Because at the end of each month, you would like to cater for the bills, you would like to do other things. So, as a man, it's very, very important you have a place of your own by the time you are turning 30 or before you get to 30. That's very important. And that leads us to the next, which is very, very important. As a man, it is highly recommended that before you turn the age of 30 years, it's good you have some volunteer skills. Try to serve as a volunteer, either in your community, in your school, in your workplace. Try to render some services to the communities, services that are not paid. Try to be a volunteer. Try to reach out to people. Try to empower people. You might be blessed with different skills. Try to impact people, because empowering others is indirectly empowering yourself. So, as a man before turning the age of 30, it's good you try to be a volunteer. Maybe not for a long time, maybe for 1 or 2 months, but it's very important because it helps you learn a lot and you acquire a lot of skills and you understand how society is structured. So it's very important to have that with you before turning the age of 30 years. The next thing which is very important and which most ladies try to assess when meeting a guy for the first time is try to find a passion, something that you love doing, and get involved in it and start doing it and doing it very well. As a man, it's very important before turning the age of 30 years. It's good to find a passion. A passion could be anything away from your career. It might be also part of your career. Some men like music, they like playing instruments. Some like football. Some like maybe athletics. So, as a man, before turning the age of 30, it's very important to find a passion, something you love doing, and start doing it very well. And maybe try to train your kids if you are married, or if you are not married, try to train someone. That's very, very important for community and self empowerment. Thank you. The next thing on our list, which is very important, and that comes with association and socialization, is as a man, before turning the age of 30 years, you have to separate yourself from your bad friends, those dream killers, those friends that their goals and their objective is not in alignment with yours. You have to distinguish yourself, separate yourself, try as much as possible before you turn the age of 30. Have a good, positive network of friends around you. Try to separate yourself from the bad ones, because the bad ones will discourage you, they will kill your dreams, they will not help you to progress in life, they want to keep you stagnant, and at the end of the day, you will live all your life in regret. So be very careful. The next on our list, why most men die of high blood pressure, stroke, they suffer from stress, is that you have to understand that before turning the age of 30 years, you can do everything. You can do everything. You can handle every situation. You can satisfy everyone. So you have to do what you can do, and you have to give priority to those things that are of utmost importance to your life. And you have to understand that you can do everything. Maybe financially you are not viable to handle so much responsibilities. So go in for the things you know they are important and you can handle them. For the things you cannot handle them, leave them out. You have to understand that you can do everything. So you have to understand that by doing so, you're saving yourself from stress, heart attack, high blood pressure, and you're going to live long. The next on our list, which is very, very important, is as a man, before turning the age of 30, you need to acquire basic car maintenance skills. When I talk about basic car maintenance skills, you are not a mechanic, but there's some basic things you can learn from your car, like changing the oil, like actually diagnosing when water is not in the radiator, like changing the tire of your car, like filling air into the tire of your car. Those are all basic car maintenance skills you have to acquire, which is very important before turning the age of 30. It's good to acquire these skills, because in the long run, or in the shortest possible time, you might be owning a car and you might save some money by doing these things yourself than calling in a mechanic to assist you. So by doing this, or by acquiring these skills, you're trying to save some money, and which is very important for you and the family. The next on our list, which is very important, that every man should do before turning the age of 30, is to sometimes allow yourself to go through some crisis. It could be financial crisis, it could be whatsoever, but sometimes allow yourself to go through some crisis. That helps to train you, that helps to show you who are your true friends, and you will come out with some lessons. So sometimes allow yourself to go through some crisis. With this crisis, it helps you to be more mature, it helps you to handle situations when next they arise, and it helps you to identify who you're surrounding yourself with, who are your real friends, and you will come out victorious at the end of the day. So sometimes allow yourself to go through some crisis. This helps you to make you strong, and believe me, it's very essential. As you grow older, more difficult situations will arise, and from the experience of the past, it can help you or give you an understanding on how to manage future occurrences, which is very important. The next on our list is, as a man, before turning the age of 30, it is highly recommended that you go out of your country and try to live in another country, maybe for a vacation, maybe for a visit, for some time, so you can understand how the world evolves, how people away from you behave, how people away from your country, away from your culture, away from your nation, how they behave, and how life evolves. By traveling is already an experience, and traveling is part of learning. So by going to other countries and seeing how they operate, how they live their life, how they plan, it's very important to equip you, to give you a broader understanding, broadens your mind, and how the world as a whole operates. So by traveling, it gives you a wider perspective on how people live, associate, get involved in business, and it teaches you a lot and equips you as a man for the challenges ahead. The next on our list, which is very important, it's that as a man, before turning the age of 30 years, it is highly recommended you break your bad habits. Your bad habits could be you are not polite. Your bad habit could be you drink a lot. Your bad habit could be fighting. Your bad habits could be so many things. But as a man before turning the age of 30, it's good to do an assessment of your life and see the things people complain about you and try to work on them and fix them before the age of 30 years. By doing so, you are making yourself to be more exposed to people and more welcoming. So as a man before getting to the age of 30, try to work on your bad habits. Try to work on your bad habits. You might be a person that is so reserved, you don't socialize. Try to work on that before you turn the age of 30 years. That is going to help you. That's going to create you contacts. That's going to create you relationship and build you a good career in the future. The next on our list is as a man before turning the age of 30, it is highly recommended you start exercising. Start going out for sports, morning sports. Try to hit the gym. Try to work out your physique. Try to get a lot of fitness exercises so you stay in shape. Because there are high probabilities that after the age of 30, if you're somebody that doesn't exercise, a lot of heart complications begin to pop up because of lack of physical exercise. And you know, physical exercise is very important to the body. So it's highly recommended as a man before hitting the age of 30 years, it's good you start exercising. Very, very important.